If you happen to come across my video, it's probably because you are interested in gig work or gig opportunities. And so, this particular video, have been pressed upon my heart to do. I would say, like for the last month and a half, and I have been wanting to do this video. And I read something in the news today that made me really say, okay, I need to go ahead and do the video. Out there in, um, I was able to just out in on the internet, I was able to find a whole lot of information on gig work and how to maximize income potential, how to cherry pick, how to ensure that I'm doing everything that I can to, get the right amount of money or how to plan my day. The one thing that I did not find a lot of was a lot of information when it pertained to the safety. The safety of the gig worker who is actually working. So, I want this particular video to be used as a resource for those who are interested in gig work. I'm really, really speaking to the heart of the women, of my sisters. However, this information it's I believe it would be beneficial to all drivers, but especially us as women drivers because we would like to have the ability to participate in the gig work opportunity. Gig work right now have uh, helped so many individuals as far as supplementing their income, paying for extra vacation, or just being a resource when an individual is between work, such as myself. What brought me to the gig opportunity was actually I was a contract. I was on a contract. My contract assignment ended, and so now I found myself in between assignments. And so right now, I had two individuals who actually encouraged me to look into gig work. One person told me, kind of think outside the box, and seeing how and what you can do. And then another individual um, told me, say, hey, have you tried Uber? Have you considered DoorDash? And then it was presented to me, hey, are you too bougie? So it was almost like a dare or a challenge to say, hey, you're too bougie to actually try. And so I was like, no, I'm not too bougie. There's nothing wrong with gig work. But as I am looking and learning more about the gig work and all the information that individuals have out there, one of the things that I am not seeing is a lot of information when it pertains to the safety of the gig work. So in my regular profession, I am a HR professional, so that my HR hat goes on, and I'm like, oh, there's not a lot of information out there. No matter how much I search, it's just not a whole lot of information, and so I want to provide some tips that might actually help someone else as they explore the gig work opportunity. For those of you who don't know what gig work is the opportunity that is presented to individuals, contractors, or 1099 contractors by organizations, certain work that they have contracted out to be completed by a contractor. And so, with that being said, with an organization, it's not that they uh, with the work, they themselves or their employees are not doing the work. They have outsourced it, which also limits their liability as an organization. And so, with that liability, it then transferred to those contractors. A contractor is someone who actually uh, have the ability to make their own schedule. Um, they actually perform the work based upon, their flexibility, their work, their benefits, their taxes they're responsible for. And so I want to just take the time to discuss some safety tips that I find to be very beneficial. And you may actually find it to be very beneficial as well too. So it will cover delivery, it will covers ride sharing, and also, you know, certain things that you should have in your car, and then certain things that you should have on yourself as a person, as you're doing these gig works. And so the first one is the delivery. With the delivery, I have learned with the delivery process uh, that there is a process that each of that, but I can speak for Uber. I have not, and also DoorDash. I can speak for DoorDash, I believe. I can speak for those two in regards to what that process looks like. Um, so typically, when you have a delivery to be made, you have that delivery, you take it, you deliver it based upon the customer requirement. They may actually have leave it at the door, or knock on the door, or place it on the table on the chair. But then the company have a requirement of you to actually take a picture of the item that you're actually leaving there or placing there based upon the customer's request. And so, with that process, to me, there was like two closeout to a particular process. When you take the picture and you submit the picture, and then there is that process where it's like it is complete. The process is complete, and then you move on to your next order. And so, with that final step of the process to actually close out, after I have taken the picture of that particular item and submitted it, I actually go back to my car, and I then, after I'm in my car, lock the door, then I close it out. Completely closes it out. I'm able to move on to the next customer. And I do that way because that way, my I can share with my family what my process is. They know that this is my process consistently. If something was to ever happen to me, they know what my process is. They know if an order was completely closed out, they knew I successfully got back to my car, and locked my door and was on my way out. And so, to have a consistent process and then being able to share that process with your loved ones is something, as is a safety mechanism that would actually help in the event of something ever, any foul play, of anything ever went wrong. They know what my process is. So that's something you want to consider. Have a consistent process that you can share with your family. It doesn't necessarily have to be the process that I use, but that process that I used to me made sense because I was no longer in contact with the customer. The customer was no longer in contact with me. I was in my car, successful. The doors closed, the doors locked, windows up, and I could move on to the next customer, the next order. Never, number two, for delivery. Never enter a customer's home, no matter what. Never enter a customer's home. I can deliver your items to your step, but I'm sorry, I'm not able to deliver your items into your home. And the reason that should be top priority for you is because you have no idea what's going on behind the doors of that particular customer. So, for your own safety, your own protection, never enter into the home of a customer. I don't care if it's a senior citizen. I don't care if I'm sorry, I can place it here. I cannot enter your home. And that's fair. Spare keys. Number three, have spare keys. In the event, I've seen, where some individual may leave their car running. Some people always, turn their car off when they're going to deliver. But in any aspect, I recommend always have a spare key. You can have a spare key on your person, you can have a spare key. There's the magnetic box, you can hide it, on the outside or underneath your car somewhere where you can get to it if you have to get to it. And then that way, if you do leave your car running, you can lock your door and successfully unlock it with your spare key and get in. It could be like the butler key. That's those keys where you can unlock the car, you can even start the car, but you can't go with it. Or even self-starting the keys. Have your self-starter with you and not within the car, so that if someone was to hop in the car when you actually leave the car, they can't, if they shut the car off, they can't restart because the key isn't close enough to the car to continue moving on. So things to consider: spare keys, or keep um, that 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 hard switch key on your persons. Um, for rideshare. And I'm not going to take long, but I definitely wanted to put these out because I can say that in the news lately, there have been some situations in regards to ride sharing, and some scenarios that have taken place in regards to the safety of the driver. And so this really pressed on my heart today, because there was something in the news that I read today. And I was like, I have to get it out. I have to get it out, because I feel like I have to share the information that I have. Not to say that I have all the answers, but sharing is caring. And so I definitely want to be able to share what knowledge I do have. And then you as well, share what knowledge you have. For the ride sharing portion of it, one of the things that I learned is that writers are under the impression that we have a picture of them. They actually have a picture of us. They have a picture of who their driver is, the car that we're driving, our license plate number. They have all that information. We have no idea who it is that we're actually picking up. So before an individual enters your car, you should identify and make sure that that is the right person that's getting in your car. How you can actually do that: by, before them entering your car, not downing your windows all the way, cracking your window to a place where you feel comfortable enough to communicate with that individual, but at the same time, they don't have the ability to put their hand in your car or have access to you. Identify that person by calling their names. There's some customers or some riders who actually set up their ride with a PIN. Get the PIN number to identify that that is the right person, and then from there, unlock the door and have that person enter. If it is if it is an individual, and let's say they have items that needs to go in the trunk, and let's say it's late night and it's dark, or it's early morning and it's dark, and you don't have the ability to see, completely all around, and you don't feel comfortable with it, pop your trunk from where you are, or give them access to the trunk from where you are, and allow them the opportunity to put the things in the trunks. And then, because you have, number one, already identified who the person is, two, now you're allowing them, because it's dark, you don't feel comfortable getting outside your car, because it's not in a well lit area, so you can actually see all around you. Um, Give them access to the trunk so that they can put the things in the trunk, and then access inside the cab of the car, inside the car. Um, Another thing, when you are waiting on your customer, when you're waiting on your rider, there are times when it might be, like I said, it might be late night, it might be early morning, and it may not be a well lit area. A couple of things that you can do. Number one, you can definitely have on your flashers to identify that, hey, I'm here, I'm present, and it brings attention to your car. Number two, you want to have a well lit well lit, uh, I guess, identifying of the company that you're actually working for. It could be Uber, could be Lyft, and you can put that lighted uh, of the name of the organization in your dash, um, uh, up in your dash area, so that they can see it and everyone else can see as well that this is a rideshare driver, and they working, or they're contracted through Uber, or they're contracted through Lyft, or whatever organization that you're contracted through. And so that way information is actually there. When it comes to another thing that I actually do too, with Uber, and I do believe Lyft have this as well. Uber have it where you have the ability to select women only preferences, which I love. I love that. So if it's like late at night, I can select women only preferences, or early morning and it's still dark at night, I can have women only preferences. And as a rider, they also have the ability to select women only preferences. This is a for I can speak for Uber. This is an option that became available. I want to say almost 2 months ago now, almost two, maybe 2.5 months ago. It started a week before I started doing rideshare. So without that, I probably would not felt as comfortable doing ride sharing, especially when it's not fully lit outside. So that is definitely one of the options that we do have. And so when it comes to placement inside the car, when your riders enter your car, one of the things that I do is actually have my passenger seat pulled all the way up, so that those with the longer legs, predominantly it's typically male if it's a couple that's actually getting in the car, is typically male, have that person sit directly behind the passenger seat, and then having or encouraging the person with the shorter legs, typically is the female, if it's a male, female, have them sit directly behind you as the driver, because your seat sits back a little bit further, giving more leg room to the passenger spacing. So that's another safety precaution that you can actually put in place, just to ensure that you um, have people positioned in a place where you are comfortable and you're able to see a little bit better those who are in your back seat. Another thing is actually requesting or asking them, in some state it is required by law, that all passenger actually wear their seatbelt. Having a passenger or the rider in a seatbelt helps me to feel more comfortable, because I hear that click. I thank them for actually putting it on. I hear that click. I know that they're in a seat, in a seatbelt, and if anything, if any foul play, they would have more motion in the back that would cause me to be more alert to their action, and what's going on, to be more attentive to what's going on in the back, if need be. And then um, I want to also discuss, I'm paying attention to my time because I don't want it to be too long. I want you all to get through the end of it, because I really think that these are options, or should I say tips, that can actually help everyone to be safe, especially with everything that's going on now. The other thing is, what are the types of things that you should have in your car at all times? I already mentioned spare keys. Having spare keys in your car, if it's, in that magnet form, hidden, so that you wouldn't be locked out your car, or on your persons. Um, Having your service number, if in the event if you get a flat tire, if you don't know how to change a tire, the service number to your support person. A lot of times, People have towing service or support service through their insurance company, or you can purchase it through, some other agency. And so you would be able to then, have that number on hand if you need it immediately. Make sure that you have a spare tire. Anything can happen driving. A lot of times we may find ourselves in construction zone. You might get a nail in your tire. Yeah, I mean, anything is possible. So make sure that you have a spare tire and all the tools in the back to actually support a flat tire. Um, Make sure that you have a jump start battery. So in the event you have your battery malfunction, you won't necessarily have to ask anyone for a jump or a jumper cable. You can actually just have a jump start, the whole kit where you can connect it to your battery and jump start it yourself. Um, the other thing is make sure that you have a flashlight. Early morning, sometimes, a lot of times, individuals, the numbers may not be on the homes, or the numbers on the mailbox is it's really not in the best condition and it's hard to see. So make sure that you have a flashlight so that you'll be able to see, or even be able to walk up to a step, because sometimes individuals might, if you're delivering something, individuals may not even have the porch light on for you. And you don't want to hurt yourself either, by, delivering food, or delivering a package, to someone's house who failed to turn on the outside light for you. Another thing that's helpful is having pen and paper, because you may need to write something down. It's something you might want to remember. Always have that accessible for yourself. So that's, some of the things that you should have in your car at all times. And these are just some things. There's some other things, but I'm just thinking real quick because I want to really get this out there. But on your person goes right back to that spare key, having that spare key. um, and then you should have something to actually help you in the event that you need to defend yourself, pepper spray, something where if you had to defend yourself, you can successfully defend yourself and actually get away. Remember, always scream, yell, in the event if there's ever any foul play or anything like that. Having an extra phone. There's nothing wrong with having two phones. One, you have the phone with the app working that you're working towards, which is actually could be a business expense, and then having another cell phone, which would be your personal cell phone for usage. In the event you have to leave your car, you have to leave, something happens, you have your backup phone on you. In the event something happens and you no longer have access to the phone that you're working off of, you have your backup phone and you can call 911 if you need support, or you can call your family, a loved one if something happened, or you can call the towing service if something happened. If you're locked out of your car with your phone in your car, you have your spare phone, but hopefully you won't because you have your spare key. Um, and then, most importantly, for your family, make sure family, loved one, make sure that there is you're using some type of app to track your whereabouts so that they know where you are at all times. And if they notice that you're staying in one place too long, that they recognize, hey, let me call and check up on, my loved one. Let me call and check up on this person. Let me call and check up, make sure this person have been at this particular spot, a little bit too long. Let me check and make sure that they're okay. Or if something, or if foul play and no one haven't seen from you, they can actually go back to that app and identify, where you were last. So just to run down quickly once again, some of the tips, just some quick tips that can actually help you. um, when delivering, think about the process, what that process is. Identify what your process is and share that with your family so that they know what your process is. When you get into the car, you're completely done with the customer. They know that. Never enter a customer's home. Under no circumstance, there should be no reason why you need to enter their home. They're not. You're delivering. Your service is delivering to their door, the porch, the table, whatever's on the outside. It's not to enter the home. Having that spare key, waiting on for the ride share, identifying the person before they actually get into your car, and then gaining access to the trunk if you don't feel comfortable getting out, if you don't have the ability to see all around and it's dimly lit. And then when you're waiting for the rider, what are you doing? You turn on your blinkers, have the light to the organization, the company that you're actually working for, have those lit, and so that others can actually see and identify that this is a rideshare driver, not a friend, not a family member, but this is someone who's actually working. Um, don't forget about the rider's placement inside your car, where you feel comfortable having your passenger seat pull all the way forward so that the person with the longest legs, typically male, not always, but typically male, is actually directly behind the passenger, and also make ensuring that they actually put on the seatbelt, which is an extra step in your safety and ensuring that you uh, would hear any additional commotion or anything, no foul play. Then inside the car, things that you can have: spare key, the number to the towing service, ensuring that you have spare tire, flashlight, jump start for your battery, and somebody else might actually need a help in regards to that. Pen and paper, because you might need to write something down. Something might happen, and you might need to identify something, or you might need to report something. And even customer service to, I didn't say this earlier, but customer service to the company that you're actually working for, and always 911 on speed dial. When it comes to on you as a person, having your spare keys, having something that you would be able to defend yourself with. It could be pepper spray, it could be whatever it is that you need to defend yourself and you feel comfortable with, and it's legal. Having an extra phone, also having an app that actually tracks your whereabouts, and your family or your friends or your loved one would be able to identify, where you are and if you are taking too long. This is something that, like I said, this is something that I want to definitely continue to share and continue to put out there, because I believe that the gig work opportunity isn't going anywhere, especially as we people, mankind, look for ways of supplementing our income, or, looking for additional income for the next vacation or the next home project that you're working on, and you need the additional fares, project, or like I say, you might find yourself in between um, opportunities. And so, definitely, I will continue to put information out that's been laid on my heart. And like I said, there's a lot of information out there in regards to, maximizing income potential. I want to take another avenue, because I want everyone to be safe. Everyone can be out here making their money if they choose to. But at the same time, just taking those extra precaution and being safe, I think, and looking out for one another, I think that we all can successfully uh, do our parts in ensuring our own safety, because as a contractor, that it does fall on you, doesn't necessarily fall fully on an organization. That's the whole purpose of contracting it out and outsourcing it. It limits their liability and it switches that liability to the actual contractor. So thank you for taking the time to listen. Definitely please share with me any additional information or any additional tips that you would like to share. Allow this to be a place where women and anyone who is actually in the gig work opportunity can be able to share. I in this little bit of time that I've actually done this, I want to say 2 months, 2 months, 2 months. I have seen some things, and I definitely want all of us to be safe. So have fun, make your money, be smart, be safe. Goodbye.